coming to you from sunny, warm Kailua, Kona. Wanted to do an update on the Escape from the City, Go to Wyoming adventure that Capone and I had proposed back in August of 2020. Wanted to let you know that we did have success on our mission. We undertook a 7,886-mile road trip from Portland to Alpine, just outside the Jackson, Wyoming area. Spent 10 days on the ground there. Wanted to accomplish a couple things, have a couple of good IPAs, and then also be able to close on a real estate deal. And wanted to let you know that we were able to do both. We spent 10 days camped out on some BLM land right next to the Melvin Brewing company on the south side of the Snake River. They were gracious enough to let us park the Sprinter van there for the time being. And then Capone and I, we explored Alpine and the surrounding areas, and were able to look at many different types of houses, properties, and then actually put a place under contract before we left. Spent some time with my wife Mary that I'd mentioned before, and we were on Skype and had some discussions, and based on some video walkthroughs, we're able to put a deal together and be under contract actually August of 2020. What we did do was an extended close. The people that we ended up actually buying from, due to capital gains tax reasons, wanted to extend the close to April of 2021, and so that actually worked out great for our timing, because just did not have a great interest in purchasing a property and trying to occupy in Wyoming right in the middle of the winter. We're going into the cold season, so it was nice that we actually had those folks there and took care of everything before we took care of and closed on the contract in April of 2021. So anyway, just want to give you that update, and then also let you know we've got some stuff coming up. We're actually in the process, hopefully, of closing on some commercial property right in the middle of town there. Super duper excited about that. It's going to be an opportunity for us, for Mary and I, to invest in the town of Alpine, and hopefully give some opportunities to some other businesses and whatnot. Via this purchase. So super excited about that, and like I said, glad to be part of the Alpine Wyoming community and be able to again just get invested in that community. So anyway, that should do it, and have a great evening from Kona. Bye. In my opinion, a great real estate adventure like this deserves a road trip. Mr. Capone and I packed up the Sprinter van with some dog victuals and headed out through the Columbia River Gorge. Next stop, Alpine, Wyoming, 784 miles to the east. For those of you that have done this drive, you definitely know that the Columbia River Gorge, driving to eastern Oregon, is definitely one of the most beautiful drives in the country. It can get a little bit windy, but definitely during the summer you get some lingering daylight, and it is just an absolutely wonderful time to be on the road. We passed by the Sustainable Agriculture and Energy Center, otherwise known as the SAGE Center, in Boardman, Oregon, as the sun starts to set, and Mr. Capone says it's about time to pull over for a pit stop. Mr. Capone and I drive by the Ash Grove cement plant. It's lit up like a Christmas tree here in Durkee, Oregon. Actually one of the largest producers of cement in the United States, is my understanding. We head through Ontario, Oregon, the easternmost city in Oregon, and then Boise, Idaho. Next stop, 55 miles. Mr. Capone and I find a nice spot to stop in Boise for the night. in the form of an Outback Steakhouse empty parking lot. The van has got some really good nightshades, so we're able to get some great shut-eye before the next morning. The sun comes up, Mr. Capone grabs some of his victuals, and I fix a fresh pot of coffee and warm up a homemade sweet roll, and we're ready to go out for a run. We've got a nice loop that takes me just to the south of the freeway out towards the airport and back around through town and get that done. It's about 8 miles and ready to hit the road. Before you know it, Mr. Capone and I are back on the road for day number 2 of driving. We're heading out through Twin Falls, Idaho, and then Burley, Idaho, before heading back up to Idaho Falls. While it's a nice drive on the freeway, one of the things you can do here is actually cut up through Mountain View and go through Craters of the Moon and through Sun Valley, or actually just to the south of Sun Valley, and that's a really nice drive too. Before you know it, we are in Idaho Falls and we're taking the exit to Yellowstone, and that puts us out into the Swan Valley area, up through Palisades and into Wyoming. Palisades Reservoir is actually one of the spots where the Snake River is dammed up. It's a great spot for boating as well as open water swimming. Next stop is Alpine, Wyoming. We pull into town here to the south over by Melvin Brewing, BLM land. Actually, Alpine Brewing was nice enough to let us stay here for the 10 days that we were in town. Mr. Capone says there's some great spots here with picnic tables to camp out, and good spot to jump in the river if you want to cool off. We make sure to get a good night's rest because the next day the work starts. We meet our buyer's agent, Rebecca Kelly, and we set out bright and early for the first stop on the tour. This one is in Grays River, which is one of the more established parts in town. Nice place on a corner lot. Typical kind of a Wyoming house, lots of wood. This one's got a lot of room, and yeah, it was a nice house. We did take note that there were a number of out-of-state cars, out-of-state plates on the road looking for real estate in the same way we were, so interesting to see. Next stop on the tour was a new build in Alpine Meadows. This is a newer neighborhood. It's been platted for a while, and there are probably about 25% of the homes that have actually been built here, but still a lot of open space. This house was actually brand new, had a nice garage, nice little view, though you could definitely imagine a lot of these lots being built out in the next few years as more people come to Alpine. Did have the opportunity to walk and run around Alpine Meadows. There's some nice bike trails and some running trails. So this is definitely a nice neighborhood. Just getting a little more built out, but certainly something that we would consider, or if you were coming here to Alpine, that you would consider as far as the neighborhoods to check out. We headed south down Route 89 towards Etna. These places are a little bit more out of town, but you can get a little more acreage, and then depending on how close you are to Highway 89, you end up getting a little bit of road noise as well. One of the advantages too, if you're a little further south in the Etna area and outside of town, is if you've got horses, you've got the ability to put those on your property. You can't do that if you're in Alpine proper for the most part. And as always, there's plenty of opportunities for some unfinished spaces that you can finish out in your own vision. Next stop on the tour was Star Valley Ranch. This is actually an incorporated town, incorporated in 2005 with about 1,500 people. Got some neat homes here. These are a lot of these are in typical Wyoming fashion. You can get some log style homes, which are definitely very charming. Certainly they've got some of their own maintenance requirements, but got a really nice rustic feel to them. Plus, you can actually get some more acreage out here than you can in Alpine. So if you want to have a little more space and have some expansive views, there's some nice property out in this area. We did look at one property a little further down towards Thane. This was actually a little bit off the beaten path, up a gravel road that would probably be a bear to drive in the winter, no pun intended. This one was actually pending, but decided to take a look at it anyway. Typical Wyoming log cabin style, very charming, but again, a little bit out of town, beautiful views, nice greenery, but this one was actually pending when we looked at it. Before we knew it, our day of real estate touring was over, and Capone and I decided to go jump in the river and then roll in the mud. What better way to finish off the day and then head over for an IPA and a nice Impossible Burger at Melvin's Brewery. Day 2 started off with a run before getting in the van and driving up to Hoback Junction to meet Rebecca and do a driving tour of some of the real estate in Wilson and Jackson, Wyoming. Beautiful places, probably a little bit out of our price range at this point, but still a very nice drive up through the valley here, taking a look at the Snake River and whatnot before coming back down to Alpine. So after touring all of these properties and houses with Rebecca in Alpine, Etna, Star Valley Ranch, Jackson, and Alpine, was actually out for a run one morning on the west side of town on East Cottage Lane. This is actually kind of a funky little neighborhood, a lot of houses that are just all different types of builds and whatnot. Found this little 1,050 2-bedroom, 2-bath place, reclaimed wood siding, windows that were actually recycled from a hotel in Jackson that was rebuilt. Brand new well, brand new septic. Actually had been built about 2 years ago. The place had reclaimed wood siding. It's situated on a 1/4-acre lot, as is most of the other houses on this street. Gravel road, but just a really nice little typical Wyoming home with a really nice rustic feel to it. Our buyer's agent Rebecca was busy actually that day when I went for a run in the morning and found this place. So called the seller's agent directly, Keith, who was working the property, and he actually met me over at Melvin Brewing in his F-250 pickup and picked me up, so I didn't have to drive my Sprinter van, and ended up taking a look. I went inside and met the owner's dogs and had a look around. Fancied myself a pretty decent business guy, but first thing I said to Keith was, I really like this place and I'm going to buy it, and how do we make an offer? Just a lot of really nice wood here. For 1,050 square feet, this place was just absolutely charming. Reclaimed wood, 2 bedrooms. The bedrooms are a little cozy, but for Mary and I, don't really need bigger bedroom space. This was going to be an experiment in downsizing for us. So as long as we had all the necessary accoutrements, nice master bathroom, actually a clawfoot tub, walk-in shower, we would be all set. There's a nice island in the kitchen for breakfast and getting work done, setting up laptops, and then a second bedroom that could be set up as an office. Again, just really nice wood, and a separate small little bathroom, guest bathroom. Just a really well laid out house for 1,050 square feet. Didn't think I could find something like this, but again, just a nice, great room, about 600 square feet here, and then just a nice open feel. No propane here, so electrical stove, but something that could potentially be refit later. Just love the light there, and then via those windows you can actually see Ferry Peak, which is about 9,700 feet up. So nice view from the north elevation there. We're also situated about 200 feet from the east end of the Alpine Park runway, so you can sit on your porch and listen to general aviation take off and land. Before we knew it, our 10 days in Alpine for Capone and I were done, and we were back on the road to Portland. We had actually signed a deal. The folks that we ended up getting the place from, like I mentioned before, for capital gains reasons, they wanted to be in there through April, so we were able to offer them a deal to do that. Capone and I had a really nice drive through the Columbia River Gorge. Again, about a day and a half drive with that 784 miles back to the west to Portland. Just a really nice drive, and definitely recommend if you have a chance to do that. So as day 2 on the road came to a close, we pulled in past Multnomah Falls along the Columbia River and back into Portland, and that was how the adventure took place. Mr. Capone and I definitely appreciate you watching the video, and we look forward to keeping you apprised on our Wyoming adventures, and especially this new commercial deal as it comes to fruition, because I think it's going to be really great for us to be invested in the town of Alpine.